everybody.
Feels like it's been a minute since we've been here.
How's marriage life?
Marriage life is great. It was like it was prior to us getting married.
Right, just the way it was.
Yeah, now the government's involved.
Right now you got to sign papers and fill out different taxes, I guess.
Yeah.
I love how you guys did it. Just, oh, by the way, we're getting married, and hey, can we? Yeah, it's already done.
Dude, I had no idea.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to the institution.
Yeah.
How are you, Jimbo?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
all right. I'll kick right into it. Today's a bunker. Now, I want everyone to know before we even start, I am not your fact guy. Anything that's going to be said today is purely backyard conversation. And during the bunker, some people will label it as whatever you want to call it, conspiracy, whatever your word you'd like to put in there, knock yourself out. But today is simply just pointing things out, and will allow you to look into it or form your opinion. And today I'm going to tell you right now is about a man named Charlie Kirk. I will preface it by saying, huge Charlie Kirk fan. I think he does an incredible job on the campuses. However, a major red flag has just been raised extremely high with Charlie Kirk. And we're going to get into it. I'm not making accusations. I'm going to put questions out there for Charlie Kirk. And they're more questions rather than accusations. Jimbo, do you have any idea where I'm going with this?
No.
Do you know who Charlie Kirk is?
Yes.
What's your thoughts on? What's your personal thoughts on Charlie?
What's that term? Controlled opposition.
Oh. When did you start feeling that?
He's little too polished, little too pushed, like promoted. You know what I mean? Everyone else gets their voices squashed. He gets his voice, lifted. What did he find? He founded Turning Point USA. Right there. Sounds like USAID.
Interesting. That's our favorite word in the bunker. The bunker word is interesting. Okay, let's dive into Charlie Kirk. I didn't pick that up or look into it deeply. What I enjoyed what he was doing was a lot of his debates or arguments I stand behind, and I thought he flushed them out in a very good conversational and factual manner until this was a big red flag. Now, Charlie Kirk is on campus, and 9/11 comes up. And this is where Charlie Kirk, in my personal opinion, this is a brilliant human being. He's trying to sell the narrative that they were hijacked by Islamic terrorists. And I'm just going to tell you now, in my opinion, and it's not just my opinion, not many of us are still in the belief of a couple Islamic terrorists took those buildings down. But this is, and maybe it's just me, the red flag about Charlie Kirk. Play this out. Let's just analyze it as he says this.
Israel did 9/11, Charlie.
Oh, they did. Wow.
Why are we in the middle? I served. Why were we in the Middle East?
Well, I mean, you can,
why were we in the Middle East?
You can reject involvement in the Middle East,
without also believing Israel did 9/11. So if Israel did 9/11, help me understand this. Who were the hijackers of the planes?
They weren't hijackers.
Oh, okay.
CIA and Israel worked together.
No. Explain to me what happened on the aircraft.
Okay, first off, what we have to understand, there's only one plane that
Stop
actually,
right there. Right there. The fact that Charlie Kirk trying to literally look in our tell the students and tell humanity and everyone around the world, are you trying to really go along the narrative, Charlie Kirk, that who hijacked the planes? You got to be kidding me.
Instantly cuts the guy off, number one. Okay, this is very slick. Cuts the guy off, number one, steers him to pulling the heartstrings. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't even hear the rest of the sentence. He's going to steer him to pull the heartstrings. Okay. And he's like, what if I told, what about the planes, the planes? What if there were no planes? All right. Mike, did you see that clip that I sent you? Watch this.
No, a bomb. I saw it. No plane hit nothing.
That is not a plane. They don't know what they're talking about. How would they see a plane hit that?
Dude, I saw the second explosion. That was no plane that hit the second building. It exploded from the inside out.
It was a bomb. Bomb in another building, not second plane. That was a bomb. Who said the second plane?
That's what we're told. The second plane. We saw it on television.
Everything.
All right. Thanks a lot.
What happened was I was down in the basement. All of a sudden we heard a loud bang. And the elevator doors blew open. Some guy was burnt up. So I dragged him out. His skin was all hanging off. So I dragged him out and I pulled him out of the parking lot. This was what was left on it. Pulled him out. When I pulled him out, I looked up and the second bomb blew off. Just saw a big burst.
All of a sudden, you heard a loud explosion. So we all ran to look. And the first building was a big hole on the side of it, and on the other side went in flames. So we stood there in shock. Everyone screaming. A woman collapsed on me. I had to lay her down on my textbooks. And then before you know it, out of nowhere, the next building blew up. And then all of a sudden, everyone's running all over the place. The panic attack.
We actually didn't see the second plane, but we saw the explosion hit the other tower.
It has to be a bomb, right? Yes, of course. That exploded right in front of us.
I did not see a plane. They said the plane hit the first building. The second building just exploded.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
Jesse Ventura was also on BBC with that jackass Pierce. What's that guy's name? I shouldn't say jackass. He's clearly an agent or someone that works for the narrative. Yeah. You know who I'm talking about, that guy. Jesse Ventura back in the day said, tell me why it aired before it happened.
Right.
On BBC.
Remember that?
Oh yeah, and it was blah, 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 blah. So that was the beginning. Now I want to get back to this because there's so many people that don't want to believe this, and trauma of all sorts, including firemen I know, people that have been lost, and maybe they don't want to relive this. But what you're not taking in account is this cost so many lives of our own children, of our own friends. And I understand you don't want to relive the trauma, but we have to look at this to understand who does this, who's willing to do this, and prevent them from ever trying this again, which they do and continue to do. But for all of us we see right through it all. Again, for those who still don't understand 9/11, I want to explain to you in a common sense way, including Charlie Kirk, who now I strongly believe he is a mole. 100%. There's no way he is not working for another country. He's working for another country. When you keep pushing the narrative of, are you a this and you hate the Jews and you hate you are now officially, instead of just listening, you're on the lookout list of a possible major mole. because that's what they do. They infiltrate the young and then slowly start revealing their intentions. Now, Charlie Kirk tries to get away with it, just like you said. Who took the planes? Let's look at the narrative. And I want everyone to really just listen to this. If you believe that 5 men or whatever amount of hostage takers took over a plane, anyone in the Air Force world, the military world, the FAA, airlines, when they immediately say we have a hostage situation, how long do you think it takes for your military and the special forces to react to a plane that has been taken over? That's the first question you got to ask yourself. There were no fighter jets even after these so-called planes went in. Do you know the flight from Boston to New York is 1 hour? I fly it all the time. It's 1 hour. So you're telling me from the time they took off and it immediately went the opposite way, our emergency system is asleep?
Right.
No one's notified? And not only after the first one hits, the second one just also is no Air Force. Let me tell you something. I live in Chester, New Jersey for a long time. There was one day where Trump was in town or something, and a plane was flying, one of those prop planes. There were 3 fighter jets on his ass in seconds. They have bases in New Jersey. So that's the first question you got to ask yourself. If you're still in the belief and you still in your heart of heart believe, because you want to believe, you don't want to believe in evil and you don't want to believe who's really behind this. That's on you. But if you're willing to just listen and learn or open your mind, please, I'm begging you, of the common sense you have and the intelligence you have that's designed inside you. So now these planes take off. The Islamic terrorists have taken them over. Okay, we're going to go with that narrative. Somehow that day, America is sleeping. We're no Air Force, no military, the most powerful military in the world. We're so far advanced from. Do you think Russia? You think Russia would have dropped the ball?
Right.
Do you think China would have dropped the ball if one of their towers went down and there was a hostage situation and they got that call 15 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes when it was up in the air? Do you think that Israel would have dropped the ball that quickly? Just questions, not accusations. Now, the planes are hit. Let's take the let's take the narrative that the planes by God's miracle and the towers by God's miracle went straight down like a demolition and straight down like a pancake by a miracle of God.
Right.
What are the excuses for that? Let's look at that. Well, the fuel was so hot. The fuel was so hot that it burnt the beams, and so therefore it collapsed. Do you want to go on in? Are you putting your chips in on that? Because now I have a question for you. If the flames and the fire are that hot that it can melt
Steel.
Steel. I ask you this. The people that were waving their shirts, standing in the open areas on those towers that we all watched. A lot of you too young to remember. Me and Jimmy were on tour. We watched it with our own two eyes.
Live.
They were waving towels. They were waving their hands. They started leaping off the building, knowing no one was going to come to help them. And there's nothing they could do. So I ask you this, all those people that were in the window waving, it wasn't like one or two people, it was a lot of people waving for help. How did the fire that is so hot burned steel, but didn't burn those humans that were right there next to the fire? Can you please use your common sense and try to explain that?
How about just this? Look up, how hot jet fuel burns. And then look up how hot does steel have to get to melt?
Fun fact, jet fuel burns at temperatures ranging from approximately 800 to 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. While this is hot enough to cause structural damage, it's not hot enough to melt steel, which requires temperatures of around 2,750 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's really the end of the argument.
But again,
and it's ridiculous.
It's beyond ridiculous, in my personal opinion, and a lot of people's personal opinions. However, not in Charlie Kirk's. Let's continue with Charlie Kirk and the student.
Actually crashed.
No, there were three.
No, the building's imploded.
Okay,
if a plane's going to hit a building, why would the building fall down?
Time out. Flight 93, did it exist?
Flight 93 existed, yes.
Okay, so who tried to hijack that plane?
They sacrificed those people to make it look like Bush was targeted because they wanted to cover up Bush's involvement. He just happened to be in Texas reading a book to elementary kids, and they're reading a sign on a whiteboard that talks about towers falling, Charlie.
Anti-Semitism.
We have been lied to since the beginning of this country. Jews free.
Stop. What did Charlie immediately go to? This kid threw out, why is George Bush reading a book that day in front of kids? And everyone, if you haven't seen this video, it shocks me how many people haven't seen this video. George Bush, the video, I want everyone to look up.
Dude, okay, while you're looking that up, did you hear that part where the teacher was telling them to read these words?
This
right?
is what I'm telling you. Yes. George Bush reading
such a
book in classroom. Watch this. Listen to this.
Get ready to read all these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready. Kid. Yes, kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. What word? Kid. Yes, kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready. Steel. What word? Steel. Yes, steel. Read these words the fast way. Get ready. Playing. Yes, playing. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready. Kit. Yes, kit. Get ready. Steel. Yes, steel. Get ready. Playing. Yes, playing. Get ready. Must. Yes, must.
Now, is this a crazy coincidence? Maybe. Not making accusations. Maybe. Hey, he was Republican, so we don't want to piss off Republicans.
Back then, Republicans were,
I'm just saying, everyone needs a gang and something. Not my gang. The Democrats, they killed Gaddafi. They're not my gang. The other gang's uglier. They shift you in, and then they control you in their boxes. Hey, you believe this gang over here? Everyone's got a different. So Bush recites in a classroom. So think of everything. What does Charlie Kirk respond with? The first thing he responded when this kid said, "What about George Bush?" Reading the, you know what? Anti-Semitism. How do you get anti-Semitism from what this kid just laid out in front of you, which, Charlie, we all know?
So sick
what
of that
a
word.
red flag. Charlie, why don't you just have their flag behind you and say you work for them? Because that's as close as you can get, my friend.
Right.
It's looking bad. It's looking bad. This was a bad turn for Charlie Kirk. He's never concerned me. He really concerns me.
Why? Why? I mean, you think is he that big? Like, because he's never on my.
Oh no, he's big.
He's never on my.
Oh no, he's big, dude. He's big, and he was a major influencer for the young vote, without a doubt. Without a doubt. He goes to campuses and he's a great debater. He's an incredible debater. And like I said, I'm pretty much stand behind him 90%.
But that's what they do.
But that's what they do.
That's
what they do. That is the trick.
Yes.
The trick. That's the hand you don't see. I'm here for you, everybody. We're all about making America great. We call ourselves Turning Point USA. And then the next thing you know, we need to support Israel. We need to send more money. Are you a Hamas fan? Like, who? None of us even. I had this conversation too. And this again is just question. This has nothing to do with your religion. These are questions and not accusations. I have a very dear friend who lives part-time in Israel, and his religion is Jewish. He's not a very practicing,
right?
He's not very, but he's like, I'm Jewish. Just like someone say, I'm Lutheran or I'm Catholic, and are
right.
you, or just the birthdays and the holidays and the whatever? So this has been the longest. I just want to clarify common sense questions. October 7th. That is supposedly what is given the green light for everything going on.
I don't understand.
October 7th is Israel's claim of why we get to, hey, you.
Oh, right.
This atrocity, so we get to wipe out everybody.
Right.
Or Hamas or whatever they claim. I'll ask you another question. Let's go back to 9/11. So we get taken over by hostages. They slam into the planes. The hot lava from the plane makes it go down. They immediately find the passports.
Yeah.
Out of all that rubble, what an amazing God gift. They found the passports to verify they were terrorists. And we got their passports and all the rubble that burned the steel beams and it burned the towers down. But by a miracle of God, these Islamic terrorists, we got their passports. So therefore, it's confirmed. You know what? I have a moon to sell you if you're buying that story. Now,
okay.
What, Jimbo?
Do you remember the phone calls from the plane? You take a plane every day of your life. Have you ever been able to make a phone call mid-flight?
Dude.
And I'll ask you this. Have you ever called your mom and says, "Hi, Mom, it's me, like blah, 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 John Smith, your son. You believe me, right?" Like, have you ever said that, right? That was what, go.
Yes. And what you're absolutely right, Jimbo. And what people don't understand is with the internet, they didn't realize we can all look back on all these videos and realize now how ridiculous
Yeah.
And if you remember at that time, if you just questioned 9/11, which a lot of people did, you had Fox News and CNN and everyone and their mother going, oh, so how do you think the parents of their soldiers that are now going to defend our country? And that's the emotional game they play on you. Shut you up, make you feel guilty, make you try to be cynical when all you're doing is going, this don't make sense. Now, I know that's frightening because it's our own nation. You need to think about that. Your own nation sold you a narrative that sent your child to go get their legs blown up, their heads blown up, and they ordered your child that you watched playing lacrosse and you watched growing up in front of your lifetime. They sold you and I a reason to sacrifice those children. Nobody will march for that now, will they? Oh, but we'll march about penises and who gets to go in a bathroom. Another well-designed plan. But you won't get up off your asses for your children that were sacrificed on this big, big lie because it's your own backyard that sold us. It's time to understand who the boogeyman is, people, and who not to trust and who to trust. Now, with that narrative, the next day in the paper, it said Osama bin Laden. They showed pictures of the hijackers in Boston going through the metal detector. What a joke. Here's the two guys we're looking for, Mahatma Atna and whoever. But Osama bin Laden was the bad guy. So what do? Thanks to Netanyahu, we need to get rid of Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, where did that come from?
No, he said it in front of he sat in front of Congress, sat in front of, I got the video.
There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever. The nuclear armed Saddam will place the security of our entire world at risk. And make no mistake about it, if and once Saddam has nuclear weapons, the terror network will have nuclear weapons.
There he is saying he has weapons of mass destruction, and trust me, you, America, send your children and get rid of Saddam, because it really helps my situation. It'd be great if you sacrificed your kids to help out us. Are you starting to understand the deeper narrative? And what does Charlie do here? What do you? This anti-Semitism and now let's go to the hostage situation on October 7th. 9/11, one event to get us for an excuse to go and kill human beings in the Middle East and kill our own children. That event, which is clearly a lie, just an opinion by many of us. That forced war. So a lie went over there. I'm not saying October 7th's a lie, but I will ask you this. If you fly to Israel, you got to go through regular security. Did you know this, Jimbo? And then before you get on their plane, you go through their personal security.
Okay.
And they can, not only do you go through another personal security thing, but they have the people there. And hey, man, I'm all for this. I have no problem with this. They look at you and go, you come here. We don't want you on the plane.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. I got no issue with that. I can aim at your country. Totally get it. Would everyone agree that Israel is probably one of the most technically advanced, well-trained? They all have to join the army at one point. Military, on guard, special forces, tactical forces, hands down, they may be one of the best in the entire world, in my opinion.
Well, they're backed by us.
If we didn't have America, still Israel is badass.
Right.
So I ask you this. For October 7th, your country fell asleep for an hour and a half to 2 hours while people parachuted in? And while they were parachuting in, where was the military? You can't, not one person went, and again, I don't know, there's people parachuting in and walking down the streets. My friend would tell me when rockets would come flying in, and I'm not denying they don't. If a rocket would come in or the alarm would go off, whether a rocket came in, we don't know if a rocket came in. It's a great scare tactic. Well, you know,
every country. Go ahead.
Let me just finish. They fell asleep for an hour and a half, 2 hours. They didn't like that. That's weird that your country dropped the ball like that. Now, again, doesn't have an excuse. What are you going to say, Jimbo?
Well, I mean, this is the same thing as 9/11. You know, like Israel. Every modern country, Russia, China, everybody has a bouncer at the door. Everyone has a bouncer. You ever try getting into a club, walking past the bouncer? You know, everyone's got that bouncer at the door, and when you just push the issue, the bouncer's going to pounce on you. All right. And the only people the bouncer lets in is okay, you're good, right? Yep. So if you got in, someone told the bouncer he was good, right?
Yes. Now here's the thing. Again, I want to make sure her name is right. I love her. I'm heartbroken by this. I'm really heartbroken by this. Nancy Mace Grace. The way she reacted, she went right into, she called the lady a self-hating Jew. Now, if I said that as a civilian to another civilian, oh, you're a self-hating Jew. Not my quote. That's Nancy's quote. Maybe we can find the video.
They all have those words.
But is that not anti-Semitic to a degree? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking questions. But she went from not acknowledging the way Charlie Kirk did, not acknowledging what the guy's talking about. Right away, it's because you hate Jews and you're anti-Semitic and we need to support Israel. People, do you see what?
What's you had a clip or something?
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Hello, Congresswoman. What do you have to say today about the starvation of children in Gaza?
You're a self-hating Jew, right? Is that what you are?
I was asking,
hate Jews?
I am a Jew, so
yeah,
I'm certainly
you hate
not.
Jews. You love Hamas.
Well, I asked you what you think about the starvation.
You guys are
of
domestic
children.
terrorists.
I was a huge fan, Nancy.
Wow. What were you a fan of? I've never seen her.
Nancy, and again, I'm starting to think it really is all theater. During COVID, she was interrogating the Twitter team and everyone that blocked free speech. Well, guess what? No one's arrested. No one's arrested. She's like, you blocked people for doctors and that cost lies. Well, no one's arrested. But this woman just clearly said, what are your thoughts on the children being starved to death? And Nancy immediately responds with, you're a self-hating Jew, you hate Jews, and you're a Hamas supporter. People, do you have to have this any clearer for you? Is Nancy Mace backed by an AIPAC member? Who would say this?
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? What is that expression? They will be revealed by their fruits or something like that. You know, you will know the tree by its fruit. What's coming out of her mouth. That's it. Yeah.
Well,
she's revealing herself. And thank you to the person who asked her those questions. That's all we have to do. You know, don't be afraid to ask the question.
This is heartbreaking to see her do this. It now makes me in the opinion that Nancy and many others, Charlie Kirk is now on that list. How many of them need to push a narrative which is all the same? You're anti-Semitic, you hate Jews. No one is saying we hate Jews.
Right.
Nobody. This woman doesn't say she hates Jews. The guy didn't say he hates the Jews. He said, this is what did 9/11. Is that true? No, but we're not going to get into that. He didn't say, we hate the Jews and we need to kill the Jews. He didn't say that. Charlie, the CIA, George Bush, the Jews, maybe he meant Israel, whatever it was. Charlie responded, you hate the Jews, anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas. Nancy Grace, a congresswoman. What do you think of the children being starved? You're a self-hating Jew. You're pro-Hamas. You hate yourself. People
can't make this shit up.
You can't make this up. It's in your face. And Nancy posted this. I would never post. Nancy, are you posting this for we the people? Or are you posting it for the person that possibly may be paying you to make sure you stay on the narrative? Just a simple question. I love Jews. I love Christians. I love people. So I want to ask Nancy Mace one more time. I'm a huge fan. I love you. When this woman asks you this question, are you answering by saying you're a self-hating Jew, you're pro-Hamas, why do you hate Jews? And the woman says, I'm Jewish. Why do you hate yourself so much? And she goes, seriously, what do you think about the starving children? Oh, you're pro-Hamas, you're a self-hating Jew. Nancy.
Let's see it.
To say today about the starvation of children in Gaza.
You're a self-hating Jew, right? Is that what you are?
I was asking,
hate Jews?
I am a Jew, so I'm certainly
you hate
not.
Jews, you love Hamas.
Well, I asked you what you think about the starvation.
You guys are
of
domestic
children.
terrorists. You support domestic terrorism.
Right, that's also silly, but on a more serious note, do you have concern about the starvation in Gaza? I know you love Jews. We all love Jews. What about the children who are starving because Israel has not let in food for the last 2 months?
What about all the Jews that have been murdered by Hamas and civilians in Gaza?
And
you guys are disgusting.
You're okay with the collective punishment of 2 million people?
I support the
There we
Jews
go.
all around the world, even you. You're self-loathing.
There we go.
Jewishness.
So you support me?
Your freedom of speech, yes, I do.
Okay, good. Well, do you support children? Do you think children should be starved and kept away from medicines?
You're really fast on your feet. I'm surprised at how fast you go. You got sneakers on?
I do.
You're doing pretty good.
I do, but I am worried about your soul and your heart. That you don't seem to be caring about children.
I love this woman's integrity.
Avoid distraction. Avoid distraction. Nancy, you broke my heart.
Yeah,
You
no,
broke my
she's
heart.
over.
She broke my heart. And I have a funny feeling all of you that think you're voting for your rock star, for your favorite congressman, for your favorite senator, I think it's time you really started looking into things, because these are the people that decide where your money is. Your money. You're the one still slaving, working. Nancy never answered that woman's question. She went into hate. She went into, you're a self-hating Jew. And she distracted. So again, I'm going to ask Nancy a simple question. Are you speaking on behalf of we the people? Because a lot of us do not agree with what you just said. Or are you speaking because you have to say that because perhaps you're funded by a certain group, and you have to say that because the group that stands behind you has a narrative? It's just a simple question. No accusations. Nancy, I'll let you take it from there.
And I happen to say, I have to say, I love that the woman in pink, because she was just so genuine and so unshaken by the distractions, just unshaken. She just spoke her truth, and she just answered, she asked the question that she wanted to ask without being thrown off course by the silly, as she said, responses she was getting.
Domestic terrorist.
When all these words, there's got to be a list of words. Anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic. Don't forget, domestic terrorist started in the last administration. Well, it's still here.
Yeah.
Professional wrestling, baby, at its best.
Yep. Conspiracy theory was the original. That was the OG, the original bullshit line, which goes back to the Kennedys, as we know. And it was intentional. Look, my shirt, right? Conspiracy theory. It was because they're like, we need to come up with a way to quickly shut down anyone who says anything about, wait a second, Kennedy's conspiracy theory. Now it's a medal of honor. It's a badge of honor to be called a conspiracy theorist. It just means you're ahead of the game. It means you're 6 months ahead of everybody else. That's when you say conspiracy theory.
Again, if the excuse is Hamas hides out with innocent people. There's a shooter at the school. Do we blow the school up? Or do you send in your special forces? Or do you not have special forces and you lie about it? It's a lot of questions, and you got to keep asking questions, because the more questions we ask and the more times you see this reaction, what you're going to see, we the people, who is working for who? Because the narrative of all the people that have you just saw the narrative. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. Oh, so you love that. Oh, so you're okay with. Oh, so you ever catch someone cheating or someone lying? Oh, so, all right. You know what? You're
right.
It's simple common sense. But unfortunately, no one wants to recognize or believe that a lot of people you trust and idolize are controlled, not for the best reasons either. Remember, your children are involved here. Your wages are involved. Your kid, your life. Just saying, maybe you should start paying a little bit more attention. That's all.
So you were talking about how they'll say like 90% truth and then throw in a little of the spin. I'm going to tell you exactly that story. Anne-Marie, Anne-Marie, she was watching this clip, and this guy was talking about, and I'm going to say it, ivermectin, the horse dewormer. So he was talking about his horses. Okay. His horses.
Okay.
And he was saying all this good stuff about this stuff for his horses, right? It was curing them of this, that. He's saying all this great. She's like, this is great. And then at the end, he goes, but it's really hard to know how to dose yourself unless, you let a doctor tell you how to dose yourself. All right. Now this stuff, right? This horse medicine that people get in a tube, you're supposed to take a pencil-sized eraser full of it. All right.
My wife takes it.
Yeah. So and if you look up the side effects and side by side with aspirin, how long has aspirin been on this fucking planet? Side by side with aspirin is 100 times more dangerous than this stuff. All right, guys take this thing and they take the whole tube and squirt it in their mouth and continue their conversation. And they say, yeah, let's have a nice day. Right. So there was this video, but that's what they're doing is they're like because everyone is starting to wake up to the political stuff, the medical stuff, the history stuff, right? Because we're waking up to that and they know it. First, they create rapport by saying everything that we agree with. It's like a good salesman. Agree. So how about you sign here?
And remember, Epstein's list is still out there.
That's right.
Great bunker. Good seeing you, Jimbo.
Yeah, good seeing you too.
All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Again, I want everyone to know there's no allegations. There's just questions. And if you're Congress, if you're administration, whether you voted for him or not, if anyone is saying you're not allowed to question, then we've lost. We've lost. You're owned. You are owned. And until you understand the power of that, you're never going to get out of the situation. I want you to think about when you go and work every day, and I want you to think about if you had children or have children, and you go and you watch them growing up, and you watch your family, maybe it's your brother, whoever it is, you watch them growing up as a family, and you buy all in on we're protected, we're one nation under God, and da. And now you're in a situation where you have someone like Nancy Grace, Charlie Kirk, instantly screaming, if you question something, you're anti-Semitic or you are a Hamas, you support Hamas, and they deflect the question. People, those are your kids. They're taking money out of your salary to fund war. There's no other way of hiding it. You can say you're funding defense. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to defend someone I don't live over there. I don't know anyone over there. So I got to work to send you money, and then you take your money and you scream this and that, and you send them to give them arms to kill because the narrative comes from over there. What are you talking about? Can we stop? So I'm not afraid of being called any of that. And I think you should understand, you shouldn't either. There's no hate here. There's no anti anything here. There's just questions. And if your answer is the way Charlie Kirk answered and the way Nancy, our congresswoman, answered, there's a serious issue because these people are in places that are extremely there's a lot of power in their positions, and they're able to convince people their thoughts. They may say that to you, a domestic terrorist. That woman asked, what do you think of those kids being starved? You're a domestic terrorist? Maybe the people screaming that might be the ones. Because you had no right to call that woman that, Nancy. That was horrifying. Horrifying. She asked a simple question about children, and your answer was you're a domestic terrorist. That is, that's eye-opening. I think everyone should start to open their eyes a little bit more and understand, the beauty of life, the beauty of questioning, the beauty of understanding without being yelled at and without being called names and without being accused of hating a certain thing. That's what makes life keep moving on, and questions and knowledge, not hate and not accusations and not more killing. It's pretty common sense. Thanks for hanging out in the bunker today. We'll see you next time, and we thank you for all you do out there. Be safe.